In this video, I'm going to be discussing how to handle prisoners after action, or in this particular example, after an ambush. In this example, we have a road here, farm field on one side, trees, brush on the other. The ambush was laid linear over here. The fire was going towards the farm field. Lead vehicle was knocked out. Rear vehicle was knocked out. Vehicles that tried getting out of the kill zone were knocked out. And then ones that stayed inside the kill zone were heavily damaged. Troops that dismounted to try to assault the ambush were taken out. After the action is done, we took prisoners. Well, what do we do with the prisoners? The first thing you need to do is get them to drop their weapon and their gear where they're at, and then you take them somewhere and congregate them. We will move our prisoners down here, the edge of the field. It'll depend on the height of the crops and stuff. We will have them covered by machine gun fire from multiple directions. Plus, there will be security on the outside of the lanes of fire of the machine guns watching also. After the prisoners are all brought in, they will be checked one at a time by your EPW teams. If you have 3 teams going at the same time, well, then you have 3 prisoners getting checked at a time. If you have only the 1 EPW team, then you have only 1 prisoner getting checked at a time. After the prisoners are checked, they get moved to another area. They are segregated from the ones that have not been checked. Now, when they're in that location, the question is, what do we do with them? Militias will not have access to prison facilities to hold large amounts of prisoners. So then what do we do? I know there is a lot of people advocating that all prisoners be executed so that they cannot fight us again. But something keeps gnawing at my mind that is not the right course of action. I suggest, if you have not heard of this person, I suggest you look him up. Look up Lieutenant Colonel Francis Marion, also known as the Swamp Fox, from the American Revolution. He is one of the people that Mel Gibson copied and portrayed when he did the movie The Patriot. Well, during his guerrilla operations, during one of the missions, they received word of loyalists, people still loyal to the British Crown, were gathering to form a loyalist militia to fight alongside British forces. They gathered up at a location, I think it was a tavern or a farm. The Swamp Fox brought his much smaller force in and captured the loyalists. After the battle, he was asked by his men, what should we do with the prisoners? Should we shoot them? Should we let them go? What should we do? The Swamp Fox thought about it a few seconds and said, let them go. Today, they fight against us. Tomorrow, they will be fighting beside us. If we treat the prisoners well, it's possible tomorrow or the day after, they will be standing beside you in combat. So, these prisoners that have been checked, what I believe we should do, give them 1 MRE if they have it. If there's not enough of them there, don't give it to them. Make sure that each person has their Camelback or a canteen. Make sure that they are all sitting down with their legs crossed underneath them. facing each other. You don't want them facing a direction that they can get away, or a direction where they can see your people moving around. After you've cleared the vehicles, cleared the enemy dead, you've picked up everything that you possibly can, you tell those prisoners that they have to sit in that location for 10 minutes. If anyone moves and gets up out of that immediate area, they will receive 1 warning shot. If 2 or more people get up to try to leave, there will be no warning shot. As your unit pulls out, you leave 2 people behind covering them. 1 person with an automatic weapon, preferably something like an M249 or an RPK. And I suggest if it's an RPK that they have the 75 round drum. The other person will have a scoped rifle, preferably semi-automatic. They will stay behind and watch those prisoners for most of the 10-minute time period. Tell them that, say, after 7 minutes or 8 minutes, those 2 should pull back to the rally point. The people that are still in that group aren't going to know that those 2 people pulled back. They'll believe that they're still under watch. At the end of that 10 minutes, then they can get up and move around. Now, if there's wounded that are with the checked prisoners, they need to be cared for by the captured medic if the medic is still alive and able to perform their duties. In that case, you leave the medic's bag with the medic, but before you give them the bag, you check it for weapons. Make sure that they do not have a radio hidden in there, there's no pistols in there, there's no bayonets, nothing. No hand grenades. If there is wounded, tell that group of checked prisoners that after the 10 minutes, they can go to a radio, a man-packed radio, which will be drawn from one of the vehicles, and we'll say we'll leave it back here on the roadway, away from the prisoners. And then 10 minutes is up, one of them can come over to that radio and they can call for a medevac. Now, this is primarily for prisoners that are of your nation, because, as Francis Marion said, today they may be fighting you, tomorrow they may be fighting alongside you. Foreign troops, it may be a little bit different, or you could use something similar. Now, if the unit that is captured is a unit that is well known for committing atrocities, for raping and pillaging, for killing civilians, for treating them badly, killing militia prisoners, killing militia wounded, I'd say show them no mercy. Don't even let them raise their arms and say they surrender. Put a bullet in them. But other than that, treat them with mercy, treat them with kindness. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them over to your side. Maybe some of those people, the next time they're in an ambush, they won't shoot back. They'll just put their weapons down, they'll drop their gear, and they say they know the drill. And they'll ask you where to go, you send them over there. It may get to a point where you've captured the same person 6, 7, or a dozen times. Then you may recognize them by face. You see them in there and say, "Hey Thomas, how many times is this now for you? 7? You know the drill." And you let them do it. This is something for you to consider This is something you should think about now and discuss amongst yourselves within your units as to how you're going to handle the prisoners after ambushes, after raids, and after attacks. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and Militia movement, always remember, essayons.